Assalamu alaikum. In this lesson, I'm going to explain to you the future time clauses. And if you don't know what they are, so look at these examples and I'll make them pretty easy for you. Let's look at the first one. As soon as you get your test scores, call me. So that's a time clause. Why? Because it's related to timing. As soon as you get your test scores, call me immediately after. So the time expression is as soon as, and then the part that comes after the time expression is called the time clause. So this part, you get your test scores. That's the time clause. Not this part, but this part here, the time clause. You can see that there is a subject here and there's a verb. So that's why we call that a clause. And there is a time expression, and that's why we call this a time clause. Here's another example. We'll have dinner when your father gets home. So when is the time expression, and that's the time clause here. When your father gets home, not this part, but that part, when your father gets home. Okay, here's another example. I won't go to bed late until you come home. Until you come home. That's the time clause. Okay, so you may ask me, what's so special about the time clause? Why are you teaching me this part? It seems too easy. I'll explain to you. Let's get back to the first sentence. I want to ask you a question. What tense is this? Is this like present or future or past? Get your test scores. What is that? Is that present or future or past? It is the present. Get. It's not future. It's not past. Okay, I want to ask you another question. Now, what's the meaning intended from this tense? Are we talking actually about the present, or we're talking about the future, or we're talking about the past? Think about that for some time. As soon as you get your test scores, call me. So the meaning here, are we actually talking about something in the present? Nope, we're talking about the future, because you are going to get your test scores in the future. And when this happens, call me. So why are we using the present when we're supposed to be using the future? Because we're addressing something that's going to happen in the future. That's the whole point of the time clauses. That's what you do. If you have a time clause, you use the present even if you're talking about the future. You understand that? And if you look at the second example, we'll have dinner when your father gets home. When is your father going to come home? Is he here, home, now in the present, or he's going to come home in the future? He's going to come home in the future. But still we use the present when your father gets. Why? Because we have a time clause. We have a time expression. So the verb that comes after the time expression usually takes the present form, even if you're talking about the future. Here's another example. I won't go to bed late until you come home. So that's the time expression, until. And then we have the verb come home. You are coming home in the future, but we're not using any future expression. We're using the present. Why? Because we have a time expression. So that's the rule that I'm trying to teach you. That's the whole point. Here's another example. I'll have a quick lunch before I leave. I am leaving in the future. I'm not leaving now. I'm leaving in the future. So, but still we use the present form. Before I leave, not before I will leave. After I graduate from college, I'll probably take a year off and travel. For sure, this is going to happen in the future. I'm going to graduate in the future, but we still use the present form. And after, here's the time expression. It will be completely wrong if you say after I will graduate from college, I will probably take a year off. We don't do that. We don't say that in English. So one more time, the time expressions are as soon as, when, until, before, after. And after these time expressions, we use the present rather than the future, even if you're still talking about the future. Let's take some exercises in order for you to understand this better. Now, look at these sentences. We have 5 sentences here. Some of them have mistakes. Maybe all of them, maybe not all of them. What you need to do is to look at the sentences and correct the mistakes. Take some time to do this. Please grab a pencil and a piece of paper and pause the video in order for you to have a chance to think and rewrite the sentences yourself. And then after that, proceed, and I'm going to show you the answers. Okay, time for me to show you the answers. First one, don't turn over the exam until the teacher will tell you. No, that's wrong. Until the teacher tells you. Why? Because we have the time expression until. So the verb that's supposed to come after the time expression is supposed to be in the present, even if we're talking about the future. Okay, number 2. Please check that the water is not too hot after the kids get into the bathtub. That's wrong. You check that the water is not too hot before the kids. In this sentence, I'm focused on the meaning, to be honest, not the grammar. So using after will be the wrong choice. We're supposed to use before the kids get into the bathtub, not after. Okay. Number 3, your parents will be really happy when they will hear your good news. Nope, when they hear. Why? Because we have the time expression when. And even though we're talking about the future, we're supposed to use the present. So instead of saying we will hear or they will hear, we're supposed to say when they hear your good news, not when they will hear. Number 4, I'll look for a job in September after I come back from vacation. The sentence is correct, it doesn't have any mistakes. I will look for a job in September, that's the future here. And then we have the time expression after, and then we're using the present after the time expression, despite the fact that we're talking about the future, and this is correct. So there are no mistakes here in this part. Number 5, the schools will close until it will stop snowing. Nope, that's a mistake. Why? Because we have until, it's a time expression. So we're supposed to say until it stops, not until it will stop. So until it stops. Don't forget to add S because the subject is it. Here are more exercises. Look at this part. This is easy. All you have to do is to choose the correct word or expression. Take some time, think about them. Pause the video first. Okay, now I'm going to show you the answers. This task is very urgent, so please do it as soon as you can. Do it as soon as you can, not do it after you can. So do it as soon as you can. We will stay in the library until it closes. Then we'll go home. We're going to stay here in the library. We're not going to leave until it closes, and then we're going to go home. You won't be able to talk to the principal unless you make an appointment. You have to make an appointment. And if you don't make an appointment, you can't talk to the principal. We said before that the difference between if and unless is that unless means if not. Finally, give your mom a kiss before she goes to work, not after. You cannot do it after. Okay, I hope this lesson was useful. Thank you for your time, and I will see you with some other future lessons. Assalamu alaikum.